Bullies, zombies, and cliches, oh my. Bullies, zombies, and cliches, oh my. Bullies, zombies, and cliches, oh my. Unhuman was written and directed by Marcus Dunstan, who did The Collector and The Collection, and he's doing a third movie in the Collector series. Why they're doing a series of Collector movies when the first one wasn't all that great, I have no fucking idea. Nevertheless, this is also written by Patrick Melton, who did Saw 4, 5, The Final Chapter, Piranha 3DD, so you know the writing's going to be really good there, as well as Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Well, that was a bit unfair initially, because I liked Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. They didn't do a sequel, more in the pity. I really hope they do at some point, because there's a lot to flesh out there. So yeah, this comes to us courtesy of Blumhouse TV and Epix, much like Torn Hearts. If you saw Torn Hearts, well, depending on how you felt about that, you may think that this comedy horror, or horror comedy, or hormedy, boy, that could be taken a bunch of different ways. Maybe good, maybe bad, maybe totally indifferent. I'm not going to lie to you, I went into this movie with no expectations outside of seeing the trailer. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's only $7 on Amazon to rent. Why not? I've wasted more money on way worse movies. And I'm happy to report that this movie, well, it wasn't very good. In fact, not very good tends to not encapsulate it. I think I might have hated some of this movie. I didn't expect much from it, and I got even less. And it turns out the explanations that anybody could have come up with until they did the big reveal to start the third act were way, way better than what they ended up coming up with. I'll get into spoilers here in a little bit, but suffice to say, the explanation turns out to be really goddamn stupid, when none of the characters are really worth rooting for to begin with. This does star Brianne Sue, or Shu, I'm not actually sure how to pronounce that, T-J-U. I apologize if I got that wrong. She plays a character called Ever, not Ever After. That was a totally different movie. Benjamin Wadsworth, which is a name that sounds way too snooty to be in this. Benjamin Wadsworth, Burley, he plays Randall. And then there's Danny. Oh, hi, Danny. Uri Shelton. And Tamara, played by Ali Gallo, not Giallo, not Gallo. We're not going with an Italian, 60s, 70s, or early 80s motif. And also Mr. Lorenzo, the teacher, played by Peter Giles, not to be confused with Rupert Giles from the Sarah Michelle Gellar-led Buffy the Vampire Slayer series that went totally off the goddamn rails when they decided to introduce Michelle Trachtenberg as the sister and then a musical number, and Buffy and Spike got together. Enough. What is the plot about? Bunch of kids are going on a 4-H club, which is apparently still a thing in 2022, at least in civilized society. I could imagine in some of the rural areas, or some of the areas where they don't even know how to spell internet, the 4-H club might still exist. But outside of that, they go on a field trip. There's a wreck because the bus driver hits something. And then shit, they are being pursued by a seemingly, weird, drugged-up zombie attacker, or maybe just somebody that's on copious amounts of drugs, who the fuck knows. Kind of looks like a discount version of Tyler Mane from the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. And if you remember the Rob Zombie Halloween movies and enjoyed those, well, go back and watch those. Because you get to see Scout Taylor Compton, which certainly was better, to watch than anything in this. It sounds like I'm dumping on the cast. I'm not really, because I think the cast did the best they could, but some of this initially reminded me of the people in Jeepers Creepers 2 being trapped on a bus and being really goddamn stupid. Now, they are not trapped on the bus for long. They actually escape. Some people are shockingly smart after the teacher gets attacked, and everybody just does all this stuff and everything, and they're getting attacked. Some other nerdy girl with braces gets attacked. No! And then a bunch of bullies and nerds and everybody go, and they are basically trapped in this building, this never-ending building that kind of looks like a bit of a rave building out in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere. And then they have to figure out what is the mystery, rewrite history, DuckTales, woohoo. Yeah, I tend to shoehorn DuckTale references in here because the theme is forever etched in my head. I will be a drooling vegetable, and that theme will still be here. So nevertheless, they have to figure out why the zombies are attacking. There's a chemical attack. There's all this stuff going on. But is it? Or is there more to it? Or is there less to it? Spoiler, there's less to it. There's a lot less to it. This movie tries to be funny, and a lot of the comedy really doesn't land. It's not very horrifying. It's a typical amount of pretty people, early 20-somethings playing teens. So that's slasher movie 101 stuff. It does try to play around with the whole zombie franchise and motif, which isn't the worst thing in the world, because let's be perfectly honest, the zombie movies have been overdone since about the 80s. and even with the revival in the late 90s, especially with the Dawn of the Dead remake in 2004, the zombie movie genre doesn't have much bite, ironically. Like Virus 32 that's on Shudder, which was vastly better than this, even though it wasn't great. This movie, unfortunately, doesn't really hit the mark as far as comedy or horror or really being anything good. And not that I care for the collector movies, but those had at least a little bit more than this. And when you try to be two different genres, or you try to, also be a little bit more serious, you even try to be three different genres. You try to be a mystery, and you don't have much of a mystery to solve because Mystery Inc. isn't involved. Check out my Scooby-Doo review if you would like to hear what I think of Mystery Inc. in the early 2000s with the horrible CGI that's aged like milk. This movie isn't very good. In fact, I did pretty much hate most of it because the characters are really stupid and made a lot of dumb decisions, and then any of the villains in this, or villain, just turned out to have really, really dumb motives, and everything was like, okay, how did you expect this to turn out? How in the world could this have happened? Like, what the fuck is going on? These zombies are attacking. Oh my god, these people should be banding together. No, they really can't fucking do that because they're all stupid and badly written. 2 writers for this, and they couldn't even come up with anything coherent. And then when they tried to come up with something coherent, I just laughed. I laughed unintentionally because the movie was really, really bad and badly written. Now, I am going to get into spoilers. So, yeah, check this out if you want. Your mileage may vary, but this is bad Blumhouse instead of good Blumhouse. Or Blum, I don't care. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Okay. So these characters, Steven and Randall, along with Ever, Tamara, and some other bully people, because Ever and Tamara are friends, but Tamara wants to be with the popular people. Steven and Randall are kind of the nerdy guys. And then it turns out this whole thing, there's a zombie that attacks that looked like the aforementioned Tyler Mane. And he bites the teacher, kills him and everything. Oh my god, he killed him, he's all dead. Then everybody escapes and everybody's getting attacked, and then there's all this stuff going on. And it turns out, after all these phones are taken before the beginning, or at the beginning of the trip, and they're put in a bag, just put in a little bag that like you could carry into a store, one of those reusable ones, and you could just clock anybody in the head that is down the goddamn road that you need to go down, because grandma won't get out of the fucking way. Nevertheless, let's stop talking about my shopping techniques and let's talk about this, where the phones are all smashed. What the hell's going on? There's the Randall, a guy that Ever seemingly like, or rather Steven. Well, Steven and Randall, I mean, they're both there. And then it turns out it actually is Steven. See, they both had really, really stupid hair, so it was really hard for me to remember. And I certainly know something about stupid hair. It turns out that they hatched this whole plan because they wanted to teach bullies a lesson, but then some girls they like got caught in the middle. And then they hired this guy, the guy that played the Tyler Mane-like character that's actually a former drug addict who has spent time in prison, to hatch this plan and everything and dress up like a zombie. And they had this Manson family ecto-cooler plasm stuff that they injected into people that made people all nuts and act all zombified and whatever. And the more you think about it, the more it doesn't make sense. And the comedy doesn't hit. It turns out it looks like shit, by the way. I do want to say the movie does not look well shot. And basically everybody has to band together to take down these 2 nerdy guys because they wanted to take down their bullies. Now, you shouldn't bully people. You fucking shouldn't bully people. But this movie also proves that sometimes there are different reasons as to why people act the way they do, and that maybe some people that seem good aren't, and that some people that seem bad really aren't. Or people are just really fucking idiots. I mean, that tends to be the case in this movie, since everybody's a fucking goddamn idiot. Ever basically ends up being the hero because I need a hero forevermore. She's got to be strong, she's got to be here, and she's got to be in a horror comedy. We need an Ever hero. And she has to stop this whole thing from happening. All these people that are drugged and infected, and they're zombies, and and these 2 nerdy guys are trying to convince them that the only way is to take them down. And then she says, no, it turns out they drugged us. And then they beat the shit out of the guys and kill them, eventually. Though, Randall does kind of go rogue by injecting himself with all this stuff off camera, by the way, because they couldn't afford to show that. And then they beat the shit out of him and kill him. or they don't kill him, because then everybody's back to normal, being taken out, and then 4 or 5 weeks later. Earlier, Stephen and Randall in a flashback had referred to doing the Scared Straight program to basically, teach the bullies a lesson and all that stuff and whatever. And now the PTA, it's apparently a government agency, says, we're going to revive the Scared Straight program. Well, can you do it again? We're getting Unhuman 2, Electric Motherfucking Boogaloo. Yay! It was bad. It was really, really bad. I was originally going to give it a passing grade or a semi-passing grade or an average grade. I'm giving it an F because this movie annoyed me. So that's all I really have to fucking say about that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.